Look, I mean, I think when we started the DPI journey in this country, it was quite clear that uh, if you are going to offer digital services to people, you've got to be able to uniquely identify them. So that's in a sense a fundamental shortcoming of digitalization. If you are looking to provide services to someone and you don't have a reliable, unique identification mechanism, your entire digitalization is going to fail. It's going to go to the wrong people. Um, you're going to have fraud. You're going to have all of these sorts of things. And so I think the fundamental purpose behind Aadhaar was really to ensure that we could digitalize, and if we were digitalizing, the basically the basic thing that we need to have is an identity. Now, when we say identity, almost every country in the world has some form of identity, because it's essential for government services. The state needs to know who the citizen is, because the state is to provide the citizen any sort of service. It needs to be able to identify who is receiving the service. And so we've had identities of all sorts, all shapes and sizes for decades, maybe even centuries. But never before, until Aadhaar, did we create a digital identity. And this is a truly digital identity in that, uh, even though we all have Aadhaar cards that we show, actually that Aadhaar card is not particularly useful. All that Aadhaar really does is it takes that number, and the number is the critical thing, and it allows you to authenticate that number against uh, the Central Information Data Repository, which essentially is this master record of who in India is who. It's sort of a database of identity. Now, this is extraordinarily powerful because once you've got the ability to uniquely identify a person in this digital way, you can then plug that into all sorts of benefits, all sorts of services. You can ensure that ration is delivered to the correct person and not to someone else. You can ensure that any sort of subsidy or benefit actually gets to the person. We realized that when we applied Aadhaar to the LPG database, that as many as 20% of the people on that database were ghosts. Ghosts are people who either are long dead and their children continue to take the benefit in their name, or people who never existed, that were just put into the system. And you can imagine that when 20% of the LPG database it doesn't exist, that's the level of loss to the exchequer that's happening. Loss to exchequer also translates into people who need this not receiving this because it's going to someone else. So you can start to see that once you've got identity and you've got these sorts of features, there's a lot that can be unlocked because of the way in which identity is critical to the delivery of public services. I just want to add at this stage, I know this is not the question, but Aadhaar is essentially telling you who you are. Another very important layer to the access is what you are, and that is credentials. And so we must mention DigiLocker as well. DigiLocker, most people don't even think too much about it. Everyone in India has a DigiLocker, use it every now and then. But currently, 200 million people use the system. There are 6.2 billion documents that are on the DigiLocker system. These are documents that have been issued by some government department or some university or something like that. During COVID, our vaccination certificate was on DigiLocker. DigiLocker is a digital representation of a credential. The credential could be how much you've studied. It could be any sort of skill. It could be the fact that you're COVID free. It could be the fact that you can drive a car. All of these are credentials, which, in addition to your identity, entitle you to certain things. And this is all digital, and it is completely verifiable because it has been digitally signed by a government authority that has issued it. And that, these two things, identity and credentials together, is sort of the base layer that unlocks all sorts of other value down the chain.